Hi, good evening traders. Happy Wednesday, and this is Krishna Joshi here with 7 Points Capital. Gonna bring you today's trader takeaways. Quite an interesting day today. A lot of low floaters moving, really squeezing. So a lot of things going on, like pretty busy day overall. So the morning was absolutely busy right off the gates. Even pre-market we saw like a little bit of action going on. And then the number of names that kept squeezing, that were in action, just kept going, just kept increasing by midday and by the end of the day. So quite a few names that I have here to cover. If we can't go over all of them, I can always discuss that. I'll put them on Twitter. So SYF, let me jump on with the SPYs, the range in SPYs. So yesterday we saw like a nice sell-off in SPYs, but we capped up a little bit, held that for like just half hour or so, and then we saw a nice little sell-off there. So SPYs probably look a little toppy. Let me go on like a 30-minute. Yeah, this gives a clear idea where like we're hitting some sort of resistance in the 65, 68 area, and then we have a lot of room on the downside. But even a pullback to like 55, 56 wouldn't be like a huge pullback. It'll just be like a 3-4% sort of a move. And the high beta names like Tesla and Netflix, we're already seeing some pressure on those. Facebook, we have some sort of news every other day. Apple's really weak, so I wouldn't be surprised if we have like a couple of days or like next few days we just go down, pull back a little bit. That'll just probably be healthy, and then we could probably go back up again. And that was Tesla. So we've been seeing quite a lot of selling off in these names. But back to the earnings names, I'll start off with SYF. So this was really capping up big. They came back, they tied up with Walmart again. So they had some sort of lawsuit going on, pending lawsuit with Walmart. They figured that out, and then they worked out. The difference is now they're also going to be back on the Sam's Club credit card, will be cleared by SYF. So SYF sort of, let me show you the daily. We've seen, so all of these big down days have been, this is the Walmart day, and then we've been seeing some lawsuit, and then even expected that we're seeing sort of a slowdown in all those merchants that SYF has in its clientele. 29.75 was really key in the morning, so we had a huge bid that was just sitting out there, 29.75. Right up until 9:30, we saw like it was pushing, it was squeezing up, coming back, retesting that 75. And my setup there was, if it comes back and if it touches, gives a weak bounce and goes off of it, probably end up getting short around there. But it went so fast that never really got a chance to get involved on the short side around there. So the stock just absolutely took a beating, drops like a point off the open. So stock opens around 30, we see 29, and then it's going sideways, it's consolidating. So I ended up shorting in the 29.40 area, and what I saw was it was holding these 50s. I was giving it sort of a room above 50 just to see the startup position, and then it just started getting bought up and ended up taking the first one for a little bit of a break-even trade. Goes higher but tests into the 75, so that's my spot. That's my area that I want to get involved in, and I'm getting short versus the 30 area. So I ended up shorting, building half my size over here. I get a nice little wash, and what I noticed here was that 51 and 52 was sort of holding really strong. So it was soak, lot of volume. The volume is still like in the upwards of 100k every bar. So it would soak a lot of shares in the 50, 51, 52, and then drop to like 35. And it would go back up again. So I ended up scalping, trading around the core a lot on this one, where I'd end up shorting 47s, stop above 52, scalp it on the way down, and we got about 3 nice wicks, and this was the one I ended up getting out. So I covered 26 on this one, which was the previous support. So I ended up taking everything out at 26 over here. So ended up being a nice range on the day. I did miss out on this one. I didn't get the 47, 48 that I was getting, but I ended up shorting in the 39s and got a nice little wash again. So The trade on SYF was getting short against 52 as long as it kept holding, and the moment it would stop holding, and I was keeping my stop at 56, 57 because given the amount of buying that I was seeing, like soaking everything they could on 52, so I wouldn't be surprised if it clips 56 and drops back to 52. So I wanted to just give it just a little bit of room, but the idea was as long as the offer is going to hold, the trade should be in play. So this trade should work out. And it was true. I think this was the one I did not get involved in. And this is the area where it looks like it's ranging again. So what we ended up doing was, this is where we started watching it again. And we wanted to see if it goes into hits and holds 50 again. So I ended up shorting 47s again. So pretty much from like 11:30 to 2:30, didn't have a lot of trades in this one. I was involved with a lot of other low floats. So I end up shorting 47s. I want to see 52s hold from morning, which it does. So it holds 54, I think, on this one. Yes, it goes to 54. But again, the good part was the stops at 57. It starts soaking everything at 54, just the similar way it soaked everything at 52 in the morning. So now there's my conviction again, to size into it, to go much bigger. And as it kept dropping, as it came in the 35s, what I saw was it was easy to buy mids at the midpoint. So I remember clearly it was at 35 bid, 36 offer, and I can buy everything easily. My full size I could cover at 35 half, and the pressure was on the downside, so the 36 offer is soaking everything. So what I ended up doing was I reshorted 35s and kept testing. So when it came back to 30, 31, I was testing the mids again. The mid's easy to buy. I don't want to cover it, and I want to stay short in it. And 29 was the first spot where I saw like this isn't really going down. I can't buy any mids. I covered 30s, and in fact I went long. So I bought 30, 31 here, and I was talking to Samir, one of the traders on the desk, that if this range is gonna hold true, then I want to see it go back to 50, and probably we'll find a spot where we can get short again. So once the 31s, I lifted the offer 30s and 31s, and the next thing you could see was just complete ISOing of orders. Like they would just flip up, wipe the offer, next level, flip up, wipe the offer, and went straight up to 47, 48. That's where we get short again. Covered 46, shorted 45s, and it comes down, drops to 39.40 this time. So this is here again, I'm just testing mids on the way down. So once I get short, I'm testing mids. Mids easy to buy, I don't want to cover. But once I see the wiping action where it wipes the offer, lifts the offer, that's my sign to get out. So I end up covering 39s, long 40, 41, and straight up. This time we go to 52. And this is my sign to get short again versus this one. So pretty easy trade on the range play for me. This was a tough one where I was short on this one, kept adding 32s, 33s, got squeezed a little bit, ended up covering 36.7 on this one. So I would say like overall, in about 9 to 10 trades that I put on, I probably had about 2 losing trades, which was getting chopped up in this range in the end. But other than that, we were able to really catch and capitalize on these huge moves on both sides. So as long as the range stayed, the idea was to stay with it and then just play the range. So SYF was one of the, I think, my best stock on the day. I'm gonna jump into the low float mania. So we saw RCON, which was moving really well in the morning. So I had 3 trades in RCON. I had a long off of 110 right around here. So we see a nice squeeze into 15s, wicks there, comes back, drops into 106, goes sideways, steadier. So it gives me the risk reward that I want to get in. I know where I'm getting out clearly. So this is the spot I ended up buying 9s and 10s and gave a nice squeeze into the 18, 19, 20. That's where I ended up covering the first long. The second setup was more like a short setup because now the 20s are holding and then the offer steps down to 18 and takes out the 17 17 bid. So this was the first part where it really felt like the offers are showing up, and not just that, they are actually hitting the bids. So this was the area where I ended up getting short, ended up getting nice covers in the 111, 112 area. Left it alone for a little bit, and what I ended up doing was I started watching this push up. I think someone on the desk called out that RCON is pushing up again, bids showing up on that, and I started watching it closely. So it started hitting them back. 108 was holding and 110 offers, so it started hitting the 108s. So I ended up getting short 8, 7 and 6 on this one. The offer sort of chasing it down, but also the action was similar to this one, so it's wiping the bids. That was the easy tell again, because I already had a decent short, a nice cover into the wash. So I ended up shorting 8, 7s and 6 and covered everything at 2 and 3. So overall, a fairly easy trade, I would say, given how some of the other low float names worked out. So this one was the second good stock on the day for me. RHE is again a former runner. We saw RHE pushed up just a few days ago. It was a reverse split if I'm not mistaken, and so RHE just kept pushing higher. It wasn't going up on a lot of volume. So the volume sort of died up right around here, and the spread sort of started opening up. So the spread is like 43 bid and 46 offer. Now it starts showing resistance at the 49 and 48 offers start showing up. So this was my tell, where the offers are stepping down and taking out the bids. Similar setup as RCON, I would say, but RCON happened fairly early in the day versus RHE was like a nice midday play for me. So I ended up shorting everything. It stayed in the range for a while, so it gave me a chance to get some borrow on it, build up a position, and ended up shorting 43 to 1. Hit the 40s really hard. That was the big bid which was holding it here. And once the 40 bid got taken out, it probably triggered a lot of stop loss. So lots of stop hunting happened there, and the next print I saw was 31 bid and 33 offers. So I started covering some, and then I saw like 28 bid started getting hit. So I ended up covering most of it right around here. Worked out pretty well for me, RHE. One day 2 play for me. I had actually quite a few day 2 plays, 3 of them. All the 3 that were in play yesterday. So MDWD phase 3 earning, phase 3 news yesterday. We saw like a nice squeeze yesterday, but today it was having a tough time breaking the 510. So this goes into 515. Let me show you the 1 minute. So yeah, it starts hitting into 515, drops at 490, which is a huge bid. I think it was a 28k bid sitting on one of the exchanges. So we see that now the stock's trying to push up off of the big bid that shows up, right? So everyone who's short here sees a bid, starts covering, and now it's actually having some trouble going up. So I ended up shorting 498, 96, 95. As I was still building up the position, I was really comfortable in the position in a way that I knew that if this moves up beyond 505, I'll be able to get out in a way. So I wasn't really going completely all in on this one in terms of position sizing, but as and when the bids started showing up, huge bid showing up at 95, so I'd take like I'll get a small piece at that price. So I'd get like hit a third of my position at 98. The rest of the bid gets wiped out, and then there's a bid at 95. Then that gets taken out, and then there's a huge bid at 90. And the offers are also stepping down at the same time. So I know that it's having a hard time crossing the 5 while it's taking out the bids. And once it took out the 90, it was a fairly easy trade. What I did here was I ended up covering 75, 76 for everything, because 75 was a huge bid. So covered that. And the next print we saw was goes down, comes right back up, and gives me a chance to get back in again and cover the rest again in the 70s. I'm not sure exactly if I took 71, somewhere in here. They left some meat on the bone, but the liquidity was sort of drying up. The bids weren't showing up anymore. All the huge bids were getting hit. So I'm not sure if those were like short coverings or long setups. But my idea was, as long as there's liquidity and as long as they keep getting hit, I'm going to stay in. The other day to play for me was STAF. I saw like a nice push into like the pre-market highs, and ended up shorting in the 40s. It was right in the morning. It gapped down a little bit from yesterday. So the idea was get in short, risking above 44. And if that holds, we'll get a nice squeeze and we'll get a nice dump into the pre-market lows. So I ended up covering everything in the 18s and 17s. 220 I think was a big bid. Pushed up a little bit and then drops again. Was a nice little fade on that one. And NVCN was a nice day too. I'm not sure if I have a few more stocks to cover. So we're covering, yeah, and we'll go over a couple of those from today. So NVCN, similar action as well. Ended up shorting pre-market at 90 and 91. So this is where I got short, covered some in the 86, added back again, and I covered everything at 85. So terrible mistake here. Quite an early cover for me. I don't know if it's because it's a subpar stock, like below $1 I'm having a tough time covering, holding and managing positions, so I'm going to do less of those, but that's something that I just noticed. I just realized that now that I think about it, my 85 covers were off of the bid because I'm not really sure, or I don't have a clear indication as to that's going to get taken out or not, because the spread sort of opens up to 2 cents once in a while. Alright, let's jump into the two crazy stocks from today. One of them BLNK. So BLNK got a nice little squeeze, got a nice long in the 25 area, covered some in the push, and then it starts sort of pulling back into VWAP. And what I did was I tried a short in the 221, 220 area, goes down to 15 and gets bought up right away. So what I ended up doing was I covered and went long at 220, added 21s. This is looking good, wants to take out the offer and just drops. So again, like a break-even short trade, ended up having a break-even long trade in this one. And the stock started stepping up again. So once it did this, it would have like a clear range. 15 is holding, and then 18 bids would start showing up, 19 bids started showing up. So the trade there for me was staying in it as long as it's above the 15. So now I had a stop in mind. So I'm getting long 20, 21s, and right after it takes out a 22 huge offer, the next one was 25. So I had pretty much at 3/4 of my size, tier 3 at 22 area, and then I added just a little bit more at 25, and then we get a nice squeeze into 30s. So I covered everything in the 33, 34, 35, had some orders layered out. Could have got a slightly better price, but right again here we saw. So that's it. This is my trade was done. Did not trade it after that. Set up again on this one, so it pushes into 227. Now 228 bids start showing up, and 229 bids start showing up. Start taking out the 30s, and I try to hit the 30s. It doesn't give me anything over there. So this is where I knew that this sort of pattern is going to continue again. And that's what we got. We got like a nice double top, and then it just faded for the rest of the day. Ended up buying some right around the close. I still have a little bit left. The last one, which gave me a lot of headache today, was BOXL. BOXL, I started getting, I got a nice small position on the borrow. I started reading the stock well on the short side. So this is where we got like, so once we got these nice kill candles and we got a weaker bounce on lower volume, so this is where I started looking at areas where I could get involved on the short side. So I ended up having nice shorts into 75, risking about 85, 86 I think, right down on this one, and we get a nice little push and we get nice continuation again. So covered some, getting short again, and covered into the wash, and we're getting again a weak bounce. Really important 325 level that was holding here, right? And now we get a weak bounce again, which is slightly lower high compared to the previous one. So this was again looking at these levels, takes out a huge offer at 40 and then just tanks again. So up until here the shorts have been working for me, right? So I have 3 short setups, all of them really profitable trades. I'm reading the stock well. One thing that I might have missed was it didn't really make a new low by a huge margin. This was again 18s and 17s, I think 15s. So this is 325, this is 320, makes a new low by 5 cents and now starts pushing up higher. So now I'm again looking at getting involved on the short side, building up a short position. But on these three short trades, what I noticed was I had an entry, so get in, get out, one trade, get in, get out. But right around here, I started building a position, got some more borrow on the stock. And once that started happening, so now I am scaling in. I'm not taking anything because now I want to build bigger position. So now I had like my tier 4 right around my average price of 47. I'm short heavily and the stock just goes down to 35. And right away you see the next bid is 41. It just buys up everything, ISOs it up. And the next thing you see is it's just squeezing into 60s and ended up taking like a nice loss on this one and dumps right after that. So this is the first time I realized, like, if I'm not covering anything, it's having a hard time really going down and staying down. So so I'm starting to build a short position again, squeezed out pretty much a high of this move again. So I ended up getting squeezed out into 75 and then just takes a dump again. So there are two trades where I ended up losing money on it, where I'm building position, scaling in, gradually adding position, getting nice fills and then getting squeezed out. So right after this move, that's when I go back to the basics, which is hit and run. So I'm hitting it, covering some as it goes up again. Now it's forming a nice little range. So the range is 360 on the upside and 35 on the downside. So I played this range for about 5 times, made most of it back, but it was really tough stock for me to be involved in. So I ended up shorting in the 47, 48 area. Right around here, I would get a nice wash, cover some, short in the low 50s, short in the high 40s, and then get a nice wick. I would just cover everything. And I did that for about 5 times. And I think that's the way that I was comfortable trading the stock. I tried to change the strategy and that clearly didn't work for me. So that's something that I'm going to keep in mind. A lot of large cap names announcing earnings, Las Vegas Sands, Texas Networks, and hopefully we see a lot of these zombies moving again as well. So that's it from me for today, guys. Thanks again for watching. Krishna Joshi with 7 Points Capital. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Twitter. Thanks again.